Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Eating Peace this week. At the time of this recording, it's Friday, December 27th, which means there's only a few days left of 2019. And what I notice is that there are so many activities and invitations and interests and focus on new starts of things, resolutions. Here comes a new year. I mean, the human mind, no matter what country you're in, loves the beginning of something new, the reset button, January 1st, 2020, here it comes. 2020 vision, as we say too, which means clear, perfect vision, no need for some sort of extra lens. And that sounds wonderful, doesn't it? So little did I know, it just kind of turned out in my schedule. You would think that I'd be maybe a little more aware about this, a little more 2020 vision, but the way my business and my work moves with Eating Peace and just doing the work of Byron and having my private practice and doing all the retreats I do is I just follow the simple directions, just follow what life seems to be offering me and the path of least resistance and just moving in whatever direction is offered that feels right. And it just turned out this year that Eating Peace is offered at the end of January. And what makes me chuckle is that, it's the beginning of the year and there's tons of new programs. And there's even lots of programs addressing eating out there. People have mentioned to me. And sort of a lot of inner mind work talking about starting afresh, being done with the holidays. We're over with this time of year where there's been lots of overeating and feasts and social gatherings and emotional experiences and contact with people or lack of contact with people that we have traditionally spent time with or not, family and friends and community. So here's what I wanted to say about all that is there's a lot of activity, a lot of business, a lot of commentary about what needs to happen and what we want. I, quite some time ago, learned that this is actually part of brain science, which I am not a brain scientist, although I'm deeply engaged in mindfulness practice and working with that mind. But in brain science, the same part of the brain actually lights up when we super want something is when we super don't want something. So wanting and not wanting, same region of the brain. I'm deeply interested in not having this. Get that away from me. Or I'm deeply interested, desperate, gripping on getting that. Get it to me. Give me more. Too much, not enough. When I first ever offered a teleclasses were just on the scene. You could do these things called teleclasses. Everybody dials into the same number. You don't even see each other on video. I called my class Too Much, Not Enough. Knowing that principle in meditation and mindfulness and the depth of that and how this moment here, I don't have enough of something or I have too much of something, but it's never just right, right? It's never just right. It's never just okay. Certainly not with the mind. And this applies to all kinds of compulsive behaviors and goal-oriented ideas and dreams. And it's just nothing wrong with setting goals or having ideas or resolutions about where I would prefer to be. I mean, that's interesting. The brain is very smart. We see, wow, I could use a little work in this area. It's just that the mind will get so emotionally distraught about not having what it wants or having too much of what it wants. And so let's just look at a compulsion experience, which unfortunately my heart deeply goes out to the people that have experienced this during this holiday season, which is happening in so much of the world. Too much food, too much eating, too many activities, too many emotions. So basic, simple working with the mind and how it operates is we think something, perceive something the way it is, might not even have words for it, but just here's my perception. Then I feel something about that. So then I act a certain way, and then I've got the results of that action. Think, feel, act, have. We go more in depth into this in the Eating Peace experience, but in a most simple way, you get it. Just a lot of trouble comes where we notice we have strong feelings, but then we don't want them. So what happens? That thing that I just mentioned, that part of the brain or the perception where I'm just against what's happening. I'm totally against. I am at war with what is. I don't want this feeling in my life. I don't want that thing to be happening. I don't like it. For me, what I did when I don't like something is I would start to think about food and I would want to go eat. I even had a whole world of all the foods that I both wanted and didn't want at the same time. It seemed like everything got funneled and focused into kind of food and dieting and body image stuff. And then there was other emotions that would happen, and that would also trigger food and eating and body image and diet stuff. And a lot of talk about this diet mentality. Diet mentality, what is it? I find in a nutshell, it is living in that place of too much and not enough. Too much, not enough. My orientation is I'm against and I'm in favor of. But right here is not quite just right. We're waiting for peace in the future. And it's not here right now. We're waiting to get to the place we want to get to later. Everyone knows really these days that diets don't work. They don't get you off the treadmill. They keep you in a place of, yes, you can feel good when you're successful and you're doing it right. They kind of keep you in that right-wrong place. Tricky to understand how to be in another different place. But you can do it today, right now. So whether you are taking a program of any kind or not, or joining in to get support for something, there's beautiful things about that. No problem. Adding a little something to your life that would engage the wisdom of other people. Beautiful. I found so much peace through that. I don't think I could have done it in isolation all by myself. And at the very same time, this unique one here and this body, I seem to be the one, parenting it, taking care of it. And a lot of time is spent with me, just me, myself, and I doing that. Nobody else is in charge. I wake up in the morning and I go about my day and I go to sleep at night. And so it's a interesting balance between being the one who is taking care of this one and also finding support when you feel like there's an emptiness there where you don't really know what to do, or you're doing too much eating, too much of something, too much compulsive behavior. Really, I find there's the space of whatever we're calling addiction, which I love to question because I feel like it's an energy, not necessarily something that's absolute and there for all time in any way, because there's been many people I've known who once felt addicted to something and no longer experience that anymore. I would be one of them. Shocking, but it's true. So addiction is like this energy, that compulsion of energy, or that we're calling something that's a moment, but it's in flow, where there is wanting or aversion. I want desperately. I'm seeing this moment as not containing enough of something, or I'm against what's happening and I want something to go away. It's got too much of something. And as I said, same region of the brain lights up, same thing is activated. Maybe we could say we're addicted to that way of seeing things, that energy. It's a go-to. It's the go-to easy place to be. So, as many of you know, I love the work of Byron Katie for beginning a mindful process, but that sinks down into the body. Sinking down into the body is so important, being connected to this body, not having the mind run the show. Because it just goes a little off the rails when that happens. But the same mind that is always focusing on that there's too much of something or not enough of something, whether it's me or my feelings or food or dieting or whatever, body, weight, that same tendency to move there, kind of like in this sort of simple format, being against, or complicated format, that same tendency to do that in the mind is capable of seeing what's greater than that, seeing something different, resting and relaxing with what is, watching the ticker tape of thinking go by frantically. There's something that can be settled down. Some of you, if you've worked with me in any programs or retreats or solo sessions even, you know that sometimes I say, how do your feet feel about the situation? How do your hands feel about the situation that you're in? Your mind is saying, this is a terrible situation. You've got to get out of it. You've got to stop this cycle. You've got to figure it out. Hands and feet are just present. They are okay with what is. They know that it will pass. They're somehow more settled. They don't take life so seriously. Well, that's of course your mind. There's part of your mind that is able to expand in its awareness and not have answers. Byron Katie, who is the founder of those 4 questions and finding turnarounds, will say it's the don't know mind. And many practices in meditation call that the don't know mind, with a capital D and a capital K, don't know mind. Tricky because, oh my goodness, doesn't that mind want to know? Must have the answer. But what if the answer is, right now, in this moment, just settle down and quiet down and watch, even if the mind is screaming and yelling. What else is quiet here? Is silence possible? How do your feet feel on the floor? Can you take a deep breath and just be with where your feet are connected to planet Earth by gravity, or your legs are connected to the chair or the couch that you're sitting on, or the bed that you're lying on, feeling your body be placed and held gently in what is here, in what is. There's something here that knows there isn't too much of something right now. There isn't too little of something right now. Everything is just okay, and it's in motion. And we're just in motion, just being here with what is. We don't have to turn up the volume so high on panicking about there's too much food, too much energy, too much anxiety, too much. It's okay to be watching. We're not in denial about that. Very important. It moves us to finding support, but that we're safe. We're ultimately safe. It's okay. Something's okay here. We don't have to wait for peace. Don't have to wait for peace. If you can't sit still because there's too much anxiety coursing through you, you can walk. You can pace. You can jump up and down and shake. Really. You don't have to be against what is either. Just noticing everything's okay, even if it's not. I know that's so strange, but just resting, noticing the mind will say, it can't be here, you have to keep looking, you have to wait for peace. Peace is going to come later. You have to fight this war here. There's too much of something, you have to fight it, and peace will come later. Is it possible that I could just get a drop of it right now? Just even in the feeling of the body touching the earth, whether it's on the ground or in the chair, I can feel the backs of my thighs and the backs of my knees touching the chair that I'm sitting on right now. And be curious. Just recognizing the mind is panicking, saying it's in deep discouragement and despair. It's frightened, feels very pessimistic, but also just to rest. If there was a little child in you having an absolute nightmare, there is a comforting adult in you, a compassionate adult part of you that you can imagine and bring in here, because it's part of you. You have that capacity to just hold that little child. The child is screaming about monsters in the closet. You know they aren't there, right? And you just hold that child and just rock the child. Sometimes in parenting situations, we've had those moments where we want to scream at the child. You ridiculous child, there is no monster in the closet. What's wrong with you? That we know, that kind of forceful place, it's like something's triggered. That's not really the nurturing parent at all. That's a critical parent. It's deeply critical, doesn't really know, beginning to panic and be triggered by that nightmare. And there is a part of you that can just gently hold the child that's having the panic and the nightmare. The one that also wants to eat from this end of the kitchen to that end of the kitchen and everything in between and everything outside too. And noticing that's not an answer. That's what it wants to do. Or it wants to avoid and shut down and get away from absolutely everything. Make sure there's no closets ever anywhere near. There is a compassionate place we can all relate to, because it's also part of our minds and our humanity. There's love here and sharing and acceptance. Even if you feel very beaten down by your own compulsions. I certainly have had that feeling. I sometimes think, even though I don't eat and binge eat and haven't for years, there's other tendencies of the mind to take things very seriously and be like, you have to do this, like with work or completing something or cleaning the house. Like, it's very serious, very, very, very serious. So today, can we just hold that it's serious? We're not denying, we're not smashing it down and saying there's something wrong with you for being so serious about life, for dropping into that addictive tendency to want more of something or want less of something, to be in that pattern. Just to open up to that you have the part that can see things in a bird's eye view. You have awareness. Everyone has the capacity to go to sleep sometimes, to rest. You have the ability to slow down, to be more still, to find a place of peace inside. Just look in the room, even if you think you have no peace anywhere inside of you, where does peace begin then? What is this absence of peace that you're concerned with? Absence of being peaceful, resting, calm with food and eating. It's always centered around you, this absence of the peace. It's right here. It's all right around here. It ends with your skin, or like maybe some sort of circle that you can draw around yourself, maybe as far as your arms can expand, right, to your fingertips or something, like a big egg around you somewhere. But the floor is peaceful in the room that you're in. The chair is peaceful. The air is peaceful. So you have peace right in your environment right now. Food is actually peaceful. It's all handled by others. It's what we're doing with it. The energy that we're eating with is really what this is all about. The energy that we are eating something with. Whether it's frantic energy or guilty energy or angry energy, emotional energy, and relaxing with that, just noticing that we are human beings, so we have feelings, we tell stories. That's what we're doing with our minds, but that's not all of who we are. That's just a part of us. And it's gotten really, really loud if you've had compulsive behavior or addictive behavior of any kind. It just gets really, really loud. And it'll even be like, oh, if this, okay, maybe that's not a problem. Maybe I am okay. What about this though? It'll just jump to the next problem. Stress. Stress. What is that? When something's really, really, really stressed and it's holding something very, very tightly and almost about to break. It's really intense stress. Just sit down, lie down, slow down. And even if you feel like you have so much energy in you that you need to pace, that's okay. But just letting your mind relax just a little. It's amazing that it will only take a little. So even the mind will do this thing of like, well, I have to be super, super relaxed and meditate like people do in the caves and sit still for 3 hours and then I'll be okay, then I'll be happy. No, you don't have to do that. It's just noticing peace is available. Relaxing is available for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter what you ate. All is okay. That's all okay. Have compassion. Have a little mercy for yourself. You are going to sort through this. It matters to you because here you are noticing how much it matters to you. You don't have to worry about swinging to I don't care at all. Like, oh no, the mind will say, well, if I don't care at all and I just hold still for 10 seconds, I'll just have 10 seconds of peace and then I'll go eat. And then I'll have 10 seconds of peace and I'll just keep eating and being in this cycle forever. It'll show you things like that and tell you things like that, but that's not true. So just noticing franticness, lack of safety, busyness, planning for how we're going to find some peace later. Peace is available here now. There is no peace now, is what the mind will say. Can you absolutely know that that's true? Even if you say yes. Question 3 is, what happens when you think this thought? And just notice what happens. And the mind goes absolutely bonkers. Like the Tasmanian devil, spinning. 4th question, who would you be without your thought? There is no peace available to me right now. Who would you be without your thought? Without this story? Without this belief? Turning the thought around, there is peace available to me right now. What is peaceful in this room? What can I find that is peaceful? What am I aware of that's peaceful right now? Well, it's not, the air is very still. There's nobody in the street. Just notice, begin to notice those things. The mind loves to notice what's not peaceful and get to work on it. What can you notice? All those minutes that you've spent not eating, The mind will tell you how you've been somebody who's eating and eating and eating and eating and eating and eating for 45 years. Okay, we're not denying the torture of that, the pain of being aware of that. But we're also not missing that you're still here. You're still interested in watching and noticing, and there's peace available to you. There's something that can cradle you like that baby who's having a nightmare, and be here and stop. Just stop for a moment. So I hope that helps. Just settle down and see. Can you be willing to just give it one moment, 60 seconds of settling down, sitting down? If you feel like you're going off your rocker in compulsion, can you sit down for 60 seconds and see if there's anything peaceful in your environment? Anything peaceful about you, anything peaceful about what you can notice in the room, in the situation. Just noticing the turnaround. Peace is available to me right now. You can do this. All of us are able. You have the capacity. That part that wants more of something or wants something to go away, wants less of something, it's all about the past and the future, not here right now. And it gets very, very loud and feels like it's everything, but it's not everything. Just notice that it is not everything. It's not all of you. As I understand in brain science, even if you had a picture of the brain, only part of the brain is lit up when that thing's going. There's much more brain power. And that's what we get when we just become willing to settle down for a moment. Just willing to settle down for one moment and not wait for peace later. So just find examples. Find examples of what is peaceful, and just might seem so mundane and trite, like you're just counting like the chairs at peace. But just noticing, how do you know it's at peace? That's your mind noticing that something is very still and calm and without thought, without compulsion in it, and it's right near you. And then can you notice parts of your body, like your feet, that are at peace no matter what's going on, no matter what kind of food is happening, or people, or emotions, or compulsions? Can you notice that you go to sleep sometimes? Amazing. You were thinking that you were just a nonstop compulsive machine, an addict all the time, but you actually go to sleep sometimes. Just keep finding those examples. Let your mind become aware of peace rather than absence of it. What is here now? Focusing here on what is here now. All right. So a little bit of a longer video today, but on something so simple. But it's just simply being aware and noticing that in this moment, peace is available to you, and there's nothing wrong with you if you can't seem to find it, because even that is another new non-peaceful thought. So just letting it all scream and be there, and what's lower underneath it. What's underneath all that thinking, all the thinking that seems like it's up here in the head. And more coming very soon. What a funny thing to say. Soon, not here now. It is actually here now. But I'm just moved to share and be in this for whatever reason. It feels beautiful and of service and of loving kindness to be in this, and remembering for me and knowing even other times how stress and how the mind will get so activated with not this. This isn't good enough. I need more of something. I need less of something. And that still runs. And that the movement of mindfulness and peace and eating peace is to step into a different paradigm altogether, a new identity, a new interest, and to practice that It might not happen all at once. We practice and then we refine and practice, and I'm still on this journey like everyone else. And you don't have to go crazy with food or eating or anything at that heavy compulsive level where you wind up being so hurt after. It's you can stop that and have support. I had lots of support with it. So coming up soon, in January 2020, 6 different times when I'm offering a free online workshop. We'll have a webinar with slides, and you can just follow and be along, and it'll be a time when there's Q&A also for the Eating Peace experience that's coming up. And we'll be taking a group through working together, which I always found incredibly powerful to work together because there's so much alone time right in this life. Very helpful to catch the snags that our minds get into. That's why I do it, because I myself notice that part of the mind needs to stay in connection. Somebody said the opposite of addiction is connection. So staying in connection, facilitating that. So the 6 different webinars that are coming, online workshops here, are offered at different times in January, and they're open to anybody. It's not required that you join the Eating Peace experience. There'll be Q&A about the Eating Peace group at the end of every one of those workshops, but standalone, you can find peace and understanding by just registering, being with it. So look down below this video because there'll be a link to sign up and hold your spot. And love to have you join me. But even if you never join me and that particular thing, I love that you've joined me right now. Now is where peace actually is, right now. Now is where peace is available, always. And so here in this moment, despite that loud, chattering mind, it's here now. Really, it's like enlightenment, here now, peace, here now. Not what we expected, not what we expect. Don't need more of anything, and you're not missing something. Don't need to get rid of something. You don't need to get rid of your compulsive brain to find peace. Isn't that amazing? Remarkable. Could that be true? All right. And if you can't follow along with any of it because your mind is just so frantic, just notice peace in your environment right now and now. Notice what is peaceful and what isn't. Notice. All right. Lots of love. Hope you'll join me at the webinar. And if you're watching this video long after January 2020, there will be a link for a replay of a webinar that will be helpful if you missed it. All right. Nothing's missing. All is well. Peace is here right now. All right. Listen to the silence.